Yo, 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 Nothing's Normal podcast. It's your host, Spit Inks, back at you with another episode. Wow, okay, yeah, I like the projection. I'm loving what's going on, man. I'm just loving the scenery, man. The studio, we made a lot of growth in the past year, and I'm loving it. Before we get into him over here, let me get into my shout-outs, man. Shout out to GBA. Shout out to Green Leaf. This episode is sponsored to you by Green Leaf. You want to shoot a podcast, a movie, like I said, you want to shoot the breeze, or put it on camera, whatever you want to shoot, come get up with us. Got a special guest in the background, my man DVD, man, my high school basketball coach, and not just my high school basketball coach, somebody from the community who knew all of us first, middle, and last name basis, kids, parents, and all that. He here. But enough about us, and let's get him on to you, man. Who I got sitting to the left?
My name is Kiro. I'm the owner of EE Jewelers. So we definitely want to, Westchester's #1 jewelry brand, or company rather. But either way, thank you for having me on the Nothing's Normal podcast.
Of course.
I appreciate your hospitality. It's a beautiful studio, man.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're walking into in White Plains, and then you find yourself some underground place that's very scenic, and it's the right element, so to speak, man. So thank you for having me, man. I know maybe it's a long time due, so.
Yeah, it's a long time overdue, absolutely, man. Next time, man, he came in here shining, man. Next time you gotta bring some bracelets. Hand us some bracelets of some kind.
Everybody tells me that.
I'm over here warm with a hoodie. He over there a little icy. You know. Shout out to him. Okay, Kiro, over here, Nothing's Normal. The only policy we have is we're very transparent community, and we don't like to start our stories on page 50. We like to start in the beginning of the story to let our viewers get a chance to know us from start to finish. There's a lot of things in our past that shaped us into who we are today, and that's important. A lot of people just glamorize, the part of the story when they was cool, and we like to get into them. You might have been cool, everybody's cool. Yeah. We like to, go into the beginning. So with that being said, Kiro, where you from, man?
Well, first of all, I don't even think I'm cool, so we're good. That means I'm like right behind the game at this point. So I'm still working on a cool point. But I appreciate that on some funniness. I just wanted to make sure that, everybody definitely has a story. We all start from somewhere, nothing is glorified, because even, when you get to the part where you're that, you still need to work to become who you are.
Of course.
To be continuously
Absolutely.
who you are.
For sure.
So, where am I from in terms of what?
I mean, where you from? I mean, where do you feel like you from? I mean, where you from could be where you put your feet in the dirt, where you was born, what made you?
I was born in Egypt.
Okay, wow.
So I actually came to this country when I was like 5 years old. My parents were immigrants, and I'm one of 3 boys. We're all within 5 years of each other. So we did that, and we had a great upbringing. We moved to Brooklyn.
Okay.
So basically, that was most of my upbringing.
For sure.
And from there, I was always able to kind of inherit this, love for jewelry, because my father always did that in the background, to whatever scale it may be.
Sure.
That was basically my introduction into jewelry. But when I characterize myself, I would definitely say an Egyptian kid from Brooklyn.
For sure.
That's my, that's my...
Talk about your family dynamic over there. Do you remember Egypt at all?
Vaguely, but I do go back constantly.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very familiar with the culture.
Right.
I'm very familiar with who I am, you know, and being, Coptic, Christian, Egyptian, which is a minority as is. I definitely identify with who I am more than, most people probably would, or whatever. Why I say that is because, the transference of also me being raised in a church in the States also kind of course, helped conform who I am.
To the culture, absolutely.
Yeah, to both my culture, and I think, also, tying back into the jewelry, I think, right? You got to always respect that, right?
Right, of course.
Being Egyptian, born there, and understanding that, you have this little knack for sort of creativity allows you to tap into certain things that maybe people don't have.
Definitely. I want to get into the household and touch a little bit on it. You said you got 3. Where do you fall within the 3 age-wise?
I'm the middle child.
Oh, the middle one. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the middle child.
So mom, dad, 3 of you guys? Okay.
Yeah, mom, dad, yeah.
Do you remember anything about the commute over here to the States, to Brooklyn? Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, so what's it called? I definitely do.
Right.
I definitely remember, my parents migrating here and not really having anybody but my immediate brothers, right? And
Yeah.
let alone I don't want to, glorify any struggle. It was definitely its own challenges with coming into a different culture,
Yeah.
right? My parents trying to inherit this sort of, work ethic, right, that a lot of us have, right? And I don't, we're not trust fund babies,
Sure.
we didn't come here with a big size wallet, my parents actually came here on a whim, they won the lottery and they basically sold all their stuff to kind of come here and
Wow.
figure that out. So, we got to this point where I definitely saw them, transition into American culture, so be it, and I think both seeing that, adapting myself. Obviously, there was a lot of negatives with that too.
Of course,
that kind of came with,
definitely.
But regardless, my parents were always very true to themselves, and talking about transparency, I think that's where they taught me to be, how I am.
Yeah. Be comfortable with who you are. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Talk about Brooklyn, man. I mean, at that young age of 5, I guess it would be hard to compare life in Egypt to life in Brooklyn or the differences. But, what was different in Brooklyn? What was, the culture like? Who was you around? What kind of people? Was it a stable situation? Brooklyn is big.
It was a melting pot, bro.
Yeah.
I think we got to a place where I moved to a couple places in Brooklyn.
Of course.
So I saw a few different dynamics. I predominantly lived in the Bay Ridge area from the ages of maybe 5 to 15, something like that.
Yeah, right.
So I went through both elementary school, middle school there, and maybe the first year of high school or something. Or actually, sorry, the first 3 years of high school, rather.
Of course.
I was in a melting pot of different cultures because, we lived right on the border of Sunset Park, which was predominantly Latino.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody walked around there, it was definitely the 90s era of us being able to, move freely. Our parents weren't on top of us. I was, moving through different sides of Brooklyn at a very young age.
Yeah.
Meeting different people.
Of course.
Crossing different paths. Finding, my place in American culture.
Of course.
I think that was the first decade of my experience in Brooklyn, and then again, there was Russians, there was Italians, it was everybody.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of pros, some negatives. My perception was always positive. I think that's where my mindset was. I could have taken it wherever I wanted to take it. But again, we were still conforming. Again, being the middle child, I was the black sheep of the family. So I definitely was the one on something that was a little bit more immersive, if you will.
Of course.
And then after that, moving to a different part of Brooklyn, which was by Flatbush Avenue. We lived by Kings Plaza Mall for a decade.
Wow.
So I saw, everything, that was a lot of black people. There was a lot of, again, Latino people. There was a lot of Russian people. There was still a lot of, Italian people. It was a melting pot. And that's, I guess, why I love Brooklyn, because I really never felt out of place with who I was. You know what I mean? I think I was happy knowing that there was so many different cultures.
Yeah.
So, when people say, like, New York is the capital of the world, I gotta agree with
you. Believe that.
Because I know I'm at a point where I see it around me.
Of course.
And again, it's perception, right?
Of course.
Whether this culture accepts me for who I am or not, that's irrelevant to me, right? I gotta understand that they may be, accustomed to something different. So
That's nothing's
fine.
normal right there. I mean, it's all about your norm and my norm could be two completely different norms. Who am I to tell you, your viewpoints are normal when you're a reflection of what you've been through,
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Yeah. And then just to tap off for that, I think aside from that, we just moved to Staten Island, and that was another 10 years of question marks of...
The road runner a little bit of here, a little bit of there, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
So, that's basically, my travel when it comes to that. So.
I mean, living a life like that with so many different cultures, and I mean, I would call it, what's the words I want to look for? I would say, what's good? Brantley just walked in the building, my boy.
Brantley,
Shout out to Brantley.
Shout out to Brantley for sure. We're about to get into it later.
Would you, with so many different cultures, and I don't want to use the word unstable, but I would just say on the move, steady, relocate. Like that's fine. Yeah, cool. Relocating and hitting the road. Do you credit that in business? I guess because in business you're interacting in jewelry with all kind of different cultures.
Oh yeah.
So do you credit that to being able, because each culture is a different guidelines on how to reach each culture. So that's actually a blessing in disguise. You know how to deal with a lot of different people.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I think doing, first of all, let's start with the fact that anything in a retail, right? Just dealing with somebody or different people, right? With different, again, ideas, different cultures, different backgrounds, different ideologies, right? You got to just respect the fact that all these people are correct.
Yeah.
You know, you can't tell someone they're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So I think where I kind of found myself was that I totally took that, adapted myself, flipped it upside down, and told myself, again, this is where I belong, right? And again, a lot of people take this with retail in a different type of light, right? You could sit there and be like, oh my God, this is frustrating, this is this is that.
Of course.
But really when you're able to conform yourself and change, you know, I like to call myself a chameleon in a sense, you know, where I can sit there, you know, and not on anything, you know, where I'm giving somebody what they don't want. You know, I just want to make sure that the person that I'm adapting myself to understands that I'm here for them, and at the end of the day, they're going to be more satisfied,
of course,
you know, with the transference of energy, so be it, or the transaction, however you want to look at it. You know what I mean? Than anything else.
I gotta shake your hand because that's important. When people describe themselves and you ask somebody, "Who are you?" No. It's hard to answer that because I just feel like you have to be able to adapt. You know, it depends who you ask. To some, I'm this way. To others, this way wouldn't work. I gotta be this way. So it's really, when you say you're a chameleon, I can identify with that because you gotta kinda, in order be like water. You see what Bruce Lee said? You gotta be able to adapt to different people and situations. So I can't just be one way with 100%. Everybody. You know, I deal with individuals, so that was dope. Before we fast forward down to the jewelry and all that, is there anything, you know, you wanted to be before you got into jewelry? Is there anything, like when you grew up, you know, you had a goal, like, you know?
Well, let's just start out my childhood dream first, right?
For sure.
I want to be an Air Force pilot. I want to be in a jet flying as fast as I could because I'm somewhat of an adrenaline junkie, if you will, right? And I think that after that, obviously, we come into terms with who we are. And I actually did I just decided it wasn't for me. But I did go to, you know, LaGuardia and sign up to a pilot school. And I was all that. You know, I didn't get that far in life. I do have my master's, you know what I mean, in education. I was teaching for a minute. I did do that to kind of subpar who maybe I might or might not be in life, right? You know, we always take a risk on who we might be. We don't really know what we'll be at the end, you know. You know, different jobs, Wendy's, Sears, selling TVs, you know what I mean? So, you know, as a kid, again, I definitely went through the motions of who, you know, I want to be. Did I want to be anything? I mean, to be honest with you, again, being a kid from Brooklyn, I just wanted to make money and live my dream and just make sure that whatever I wanted to do, I could kind of do. Whether it was something that I knew would be fun or not, obviously we all hope for that.
For sure.
You know, do we actually end up with that? That's very minimal, and I think I'm definitely blessed in what, you know, I found myself in. And again, it was definitely a lot of risks, a lot of question marks, and a lot of, you know, trial and error, I think, until, you know, I was able to really, you know, dedicate myself. And still, it's always a, you know, an ongoing thing.
Of course. Let's talk about, like I said, you said your father was into it, more so of maybe a side business, you would call it, or a hobby. What would you label it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to scale, just to kind of scale to whatever it was, you know, he was working for people,
right?
You know, first, you know, it wasn't until one of his guys kind of, the owner moved, and it kind of happened like that, where it was natural, that he started to take some sort of ownership to it. And I think when my father actually took ownership of anything, I was the first one out of everybody to be like, yo, I'm by your side, let's do this. Like, and I was 17 years old, so just that's the truth, He did it for a decade by himself. Again, it was a side gig.
Yeah.
Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, they were at a very small jewelry exchange, with different jewelers and stuff. And, it was a side hustle. My father, that's how I got into the teaching, because my parents both were, working in the education system in Brooklyn. And, that was, the health insurance, you're gonna need the benefits. You're gonna retire. You're gonna have something. They're always gonna give you some money, this and that. That I understood to kind of accepting, right? And then the fact that you could do this on the side too and bring some money. So that's where he was at it. It was definitely a lot different of a scale, but I think jewelry was a different dynamic back then too. Obviously, regardless of social media or not, I just think that men weren't into jewelry. Maybe the days of Puff and Mace, it was different. And the days of hip hop jewelry was maybe different in terms of our accessibility. You know what I'm saying? In terms of day to day, right?
Sure.
Now we have all these options as consumers, so it's a lot more accessible, and I think trends are a lot more fashionable. So I was able to kind of do it on a different scale. So yeah, my father was did it on just a side gig hustle, and it was just a extra couple bucks, but he was always smart, and he was always a people person.
Yeah.
So he always knew how to make people happy, and he put their emotions before the dollar. I think that's where you gotta get to. That's
wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
What was that moment for you when you said you were gonna take the jewelry business and do it full time, outside of yeah?
I was between a rock and a hard place. The jewelry industry was changing. Gold was going up, which now it's at an unbelievable number considering the fact of where it was back then and where we thought it was just, oh my God, this is way too expensive, right?
Yeah.
And, the jewelry exchange that we were at was basically closing down, and it was a month-to-month thing. So they basically gave us a 2-month heads up.
Yeah.
After doing it for a decade, like, hey, you guys gotta, 2 months, we're selling the building. This is gonna become Target.
Jesus.
Target in Portchester.
Oh, wow.
That's where we was at. It's the Portchester Flea Market, Empire State Flea Market. That's what it used to be, but it was a jewelry exchange, really. That's, where we started.
Sure.
And then I'm sure maybe you're familiar with
Yeah.
If you were Westchester native, that's what I mean.
I vaguely heard of it.
I've been to, Westchester. That's what I mean. Like, my roots are really deep in Westchester, just because I was able to go through all of these phases in Westchester. I was never from Westchester.
You're connected.
But I'm more connected here than I probably,
It's a good place. Westchester.
Oh, it's a beautiful place,
It's a beautiful
man.
county.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful county.
Yeah, I have much respect for it.
Yeah. Nice place for a jeweler to set up shop right here in
man,
one of the richest counties in the world.
Yeah, but listen, I didn't put that together. You know what I mean?
I know.
If I tell you I did, man, I'd be lying to you. If I told you I did any demographic
I got maps over there.
And if I told you, to be honest with you, that, most of whatever I am able to do is because of my location in Westchester, I don't think that that's true. You know, I think it's, again, based on my history.
For sure.
Longevity, because it's trust, right? And consistency, because, I'm constantly finding new people.
Right.
And the old people I'm consistently helping.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
my docket is built because of my longevity. It's not because I decided to open up on whatever street it is.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about White Plains, because when I drive through White Plains compared to Portchester, I see a lot more people now.
Right.
Than I do in Portchester. But also Portchester's changing. Let's leave that at that. It's conforming to a new place, and I know what it's going to be. It might be bigger than White Plains, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely a new metro, right? And what I'm saying that is, you can't just expect to open up anything anywhere and be successful.
Yeah.
That's not that, but yeah, just kind of going back to real quick about what we, what I had, the exchange closed, the jewelry exchange, and I really didn't have much of a choice, man, except for go to Fishkill, which was an hour away. That's where they were offering the closest place, which I did as a kid. I used to do outdoor flea markets and do close to nothing, and it was a terrible experience for 2 years, but I still did it because this is what we go through, right, to get to that knowledge. And then I didn't want to leave the place that I knew that I already knew people. So I decided to sublease, and I took 2-3 showcases in a little, you know, what's it called, thrift shop, a consignment shop on North Main Street in Portchester, and I opened up a little thing, and my parents retired at that point. My mother would just help me. I would just open on the weekend, and then there you go, and then this is basically, you know.
Yeah, I love having conversations like this because having conversations, I'm starting to notice with a lot of different people. I've been spending time with a lot of different types of people, and you'll just be surprised at mind frame. Like you said something that stuck out to me. When you come to White Plains and you hit Mamaroneck Avenue, I mean, the average person's looking around like, oh shit, there's a lot of females out here. Your mind is telling you, there's a lot more traffic here. This will be a good spot to promote a business here.
Yeah.
Rather than where I am, wherever, you know, we're not going to compare cities. But this is where your mind is, just casually coming through White Plains, like, wow, I could see. So it's just a higher level of thinking rather than, oh man, she got us a lot of dresses out there. You're like, shit, you thinking about, which I'm pretty sure you know.
Things are longevity, man. Let's be honest, man. You know, you know, you can talk about margins, but if you're not selling anything,
for sure,
it doesn't mean anything. You know.
Talk about the process of without giving all your secrets. I mean, it's nothing's normal. We get a lot of exclusives dropped on us here. Just a lot of gems. You know, no pun intended. Like they drop a lot of gems. The jewelry business, as far as how to even find jewelry, like how do you go about even starting your own jewelry business? Who do you reach out to? Who's importing it? We see it in the movies. Is it really in what was it? The movie with was Martin in it? What's that movie where he took all of the diamonds and I forgot the goddamn movie, but that's what we see, like ships crashing and it's just bags full of diamonds. What's the process of even getting your hands on them?
First of all, this industry is really based on, you know, not only trust, right? You know, reference, you know, if you know,
everybody can't get their hands on that. You gotta be on a list.
It's not even that. You know, you gotta understand something. You know, this is real money you're talking about.
Yeah.
So nobody's gonna hand you something that's worth X amount. Okay, cool. If they can't collect.
For sure.
Right. So we have receivables, and we have, you know, what's it called, accessibility to wholesalers. Okay. Now, it's up to you maybe to find a new wholesaler. And whatever, but it's also up to you to dictate that contract between you and that person, whether you say, hey, listen, look, me as a man, I'm going to take this. I'm not selling this right now. You got to give me some terms, right? Yeah. So how do you do that without some sort of rapport or history?
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Right? And then on top of that, if you need something new, because I constantly need something different, because everybody's always asking me for something different, right? How do you access new companies so you can get the right price to your customer, correct? Because think about it, everything is a representation of me. It's all echoes, right? So if I can't source the right item at the right price and guarantee the right quality of product, then, so, you know, it's a hard question to really answer because, again, and that's where I got to shout out my father because a lot of these guys, you know, I saw as kids.
Resource.
You know, they saw me, so, and also, my pops never did anything wrong to anybody. So my name vertebrates well in the business, and I've done that for 12, 13 years. So me, personally, I can get anything I want. You know what I mean? But if I told you that, hey, listen, this is my guy, and go to him, and he's going to give it to you, he's going to ask for my confirmation.
For sure.
Correct? So it's back to stage one.
So it's one of them businesses, because a lot of jewelers that I meet, a lot of great jewelers, let me not even say a lot of jewelers, the few jewelers that I've seen, because I haven't seen a lot, the few aren't American. Well, not that they're not, their heritage isn't necessarily American.
No, it's a cultural business.
So it's almost like, we got this shit, we got this shit boarded up, like anybody just saying.
That's another
there you go.
thing. So I'm, you know, So again, I came to this country when I was 5, right?
For sure.
I did not speak, learn Arabic when I, coming here. I, heard my parents speak it, and I've
Definitely.
taken an embracement towards it. And the reason for that, especially more now than ever, and I speak Spanish, and I know phrases in Hebrew, and I do all these little things because I make people that I deal with who are older, who have a lot of pull, comfortable with me, right?
Energy.
So I take the initiative, to do that. So back to what you're saying is, this is a cultural business.
For sure.
And I could sign, something to somebody, and, there's no malice, for me, and I want him to make money.
Yeah.
And again, this is not everybody.
Yeah.
Because we deal with a lot of things that where
course.
people come and take things and they don't follow through. And people nowadays, as things have gotten more expensive, have probably, drawn back from allowing people to come into the industry more than ever.
Yeah.
And just understand, there's a lot of things that go on that people do because there's a lot of money involved,
Absolutely.
And it is a very cultural business, and there isn't anybody really that is outside of a few certain, countries that kind of do that, So.
And there's nothing wrong with cultural business. I feel like we the only ones that don't do that shit. Like, find a lane and just, listen, man, take care of your own. I feel like we're the only community that doesn't have a cultural business because you could say hip hop, but we don't own hip hop.
I think that's difficult.
That's
I know
crazy.
because
I like that.
It is difficult because,
that.
Again, I'm able to, regardless of me telling you I found my place, I still felt out of place growing up, right? So it's funny because here now in 2024, or maybe only the last 5 or 6 years, that I really feel comfortable being, who I am, both from where I'm from and who I am trying to represent, right, in myself. So why I'm saying that is I was sitting here always trying to kind of maybe chase this, vision of being this American, all-star, right?
For sure.
You want to be the guy in the nice car driving down the highway, with the big mansion and this and that. And you're like, okay, cool. How am I going to achieve this, right? And, sometimes you're like, well, I can't achieve it by being where I'm from because a lot of guys where I'm from don't do this. You know what I'm saying, right? And I think that, growing up early in my stages, I felt that was difficult. I didn't know what to relate to,
For sure.
And I think, it is even more difficult that, the black community can't embrace hip hop as a cultural business.
Yeah, for sure.
But then again, I'll be honest with you, I think, the black community has embraced the whole music industry probably though at this point, and that transference of energy is happening now. And here I am now telling you in 2024 that I feel comfortable being who I am.
Damn right.
Selling what I sell.
For
and
sure.
on top of that, I don't want to be somebody else, right? So again, my perception, I see a lot of it.
Definitely.
Everybody is motivated by black culture.
Yeah.
So, it might be difficult to place in terms of money value.
Of course.
But I think that
shit.
takes a little time though.
Yeah,
I think that we gotta appreciate that time.
Definitely.
We gotta appreciate that time. That comes, man.
I love that.
Comes out.
I love that. I love that so much. Here's all I am gonna ask you. What country produces the best diamonds?
So to be honest with you, a lot of these questions as far as like gold and the best manufacturing, this and that, a lot of it, man, I don't import and export because that is a different tier of the industry.
Okay.
Okay? That requires a lot more money.
Sure.
That requires a lot more, what's it called? Greasing of people, if you will, just to kind of, get that here. And that's not my but what I can tell you is, stones that are GIA certified are top tier stones. Most of these stones do get mined from different parts of the world. I, as a personal, jeweler or a retail jeweler rather, I get stones that are cut top tier.
Yeah, we see it.
And on top of that, we buy conflict free like diamonds. You know what I'm saying? Meaning like wherever the sourcing is, is supposed to be conflict free from our knowledge and from what we signed to. And on top of that, though, to kind of answer your question, Belgium really and Switzerland is where they cut the most top tier quality stones.
Okay.
But India is coming close because again, manufacturing costs and stuff like that. Same thing like us buying everyday products from China. It just becomes more accessible.
Sure.
People willing to work for less and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
As you like I said, I came across you a little while ago. I've been seeing you, produce good pieces for a while. When I caught note of you, can you give us a list of some people that you've made some pieces for that we may know of, or people
I'll be honest with you. I've done a lot of pieces, man, for a lot of people. I don't even, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of pieces for a lot of people.
Modest.
I definitely want to, make sure I respect all my clients.
I was gonna say, is it a confidentiality thing with that? Like, I
No,
know stylists.
I think
are kind of the same way.
I think to be honest with you, everybody I do anything for respects my craft.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not on a favor basis.
Right.
So, I've always done my best to respect all my customers. You know what I'm saying?
As you should.
Like, whether they spend $1,000 or whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying?
The whatever part. The 1,000 was minimal.
And then, but I'll just shop, TJ Up Top Bosses is my brother, you know what I mean? Capella Gray is my brother. I've done all his jewelry, from the beginning, so we've seen him rise, and
Definitely.
we're proud of him. What's it called? Mr. Vegas is my brother too, man. We tapped in recently, we've done a lot of people, man, pieces, and I think, again, regardless of what it is, we've always done things with, our heart, poured out, Tiana Smalls is my sister, you know what I mean? CJ Wallace is my brother. So I think a lot of these things, again, and I only mention especially those two because being a Brooklyn kid, I think that was, a beautiful moment for me to be able to connect with people, on a very neutral and positive way where, it was, both respect for craft and, again, loyalty for me to whoever it is. And,
Definitely.
and man, I think, again, why I say it like that is because I definitely, treat everybody the same. I wake up in the morning and I go to my store and, I always put my best foot forward regardless of, whether it's minimal or not.
Right. For sure.
Smile on my face.
Definitely.
Make everybody good, happy, and yeah.
Jewelry influences, man. When I was coming up, man, every rap song, they promoted Jacob the Jeweler. That's all I really know about. I know there was a big one, another one out in Philly. All the underground Philly artists was getting styled by in the mid-2000s. But like I said, Jacob the Jeweler was a big one, me being a kid hearing his name. So, I mean, do you guys have like a Michael Jordan of jewelry? Like, which how does it go for you? On the jewelry, or was it Daddy?
Look, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I think, obviously growing up, I saw all of these guys and, I heard of Jacob the Jeweler and, a few other guys, having this sort of legacy, right?
For sure.
That was this untouchable, aura of energy, right? But then I think, which was a very, 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 very amazing thing to see because, again, I didn't understand what jewelry was, right?
Okay.
So, you're seeing these aura of high-price items,
For sure.
and you're like, this is unimaginable. You know what I mean? This is something that's totally untouchable, right?
For sure.
So, big shout out to the hip hop community because I think, raising somebody like Jacob the Jeweler paves the way for us to be our ourselves, our personas, right? Now, whether it's, persona like the Instagram personas we see.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
or whether
yeah.
it's a guy that's like Jacob the jeweler who is trendsetting in the fact that he can build $1 million timepieces and sell them.
Yeah.
Again, remember, we're talking about people that can sell things.
Yes.
Forget about building things because it doesn't matter really sometimes. If it's not really like something sought after, then what?
Yeah.
It's an irrelevant item, right? So
Wow.
that is a beautiful thing because these guys, like again, Jacob the Jeweler, they will build the NERD piece, you know what I'm saying, and do some really historic things, and even Pristine doing the big, Cuban chain for Jay-Z. You see these things over time.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't Pristine. Raffaello and Co. I don't know, one of these guys. Either way.
Yeah.
I think you get to a point where you say, hey, listen, a lot of these guys are definitely memorable, in what they've done, right?
Right.
But I wouldn't say there's any Michael Jordan in this jewelry game, man.
Okay.
I think that, just like the NBA is kind of proven to us, and let's not take anything away from MJ because he is my favorite
for sure.
of all
that was just a
time
reference. Yeah, just a
ever,
reference.
But I
Yeah.
think that what that transcribes to is that really this is an art.
Yeah, it
you
is.
know? So it becomes, who you're willing to be.
Right.
What you're willing to conform to, right? So I think that the industry keeps pushing itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think it finds its way with one of two things, or two things really, to create a whole. First thing being, the item and the art and the craft and the presentation, if you will. And the second thing is persona. Mm-hmm. You got to be
a brand. You're marketing yourself.
It's just
personality, whatever you want to call it.
The jewelry becomes really you not just selling an item, but allowing that person to see who they can become if they wear that item.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, Urkel or Stefan. Without the piece, Urkel. With the piece, Stefan.
Right? Everybody
mindset.
wants to go inside the chamber
you got the machine.
Turn it on, right? And then come out looking like Stefan and put the glasses on, and next thing you know, you're somebody else, right? So, I mean, who are we to say we can't do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. You as a fellow jeweler, what are some pieces in the hip hop industry that you was impressed with? Like, damn, that's hard. Coming up, or even now.
I mean, honestly, I'm more impressed with pieces now.
Than
I was back then.
Right.
Right. Again, because I just understand the creativity it takes. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to take anything away from the old, jewelry industry prior because, I think we didn't have, we didn't have, 3D printers and CAD cams and, the access to do all that. So a lot of it was either hand carved or hand cut.
Wow. Okay.
Out of a piece of gold or whatever, you know what I mean? So I definitely have a lot of respect for the old pieces. I also feel like because I've been doing it for such a long time and my hands have touched a lot of things, so I appreciate when people push the envelope, and shout out to a lot of big jewelers that are doing it now, man, and I know a lot of these guys on a personal basis, but we, respect each other's crafts, and I think, it's nice when you have the ability and the green light from the customer to be able to do what you do. So it's a limited amount of people.
Clientele, I guess, how it basically is based on the clientele.
Listen, you can't make such a fundamental piece,
again,
if somebody's not going to buy it.
Exactly.
Right? So if you're making a $200,000 piece, somebody has to buy it.
Yeah, make it make sense.
You know what I'm saying? Whether they allow you also to divulge into your craft and you take on the job, that's a whole other thing too. So again, you got to understand a lot of these pieces, regardless of the jeweler making them or not, it really takes a coexistence between you and the client to understand what it is that you want to produce for them.
Yeah. As a jeweler, is there a team? What's the process of the architecture of an actual piece after you figure it out? Like who sketches it out? What's that process? And how does that work?
Well, I like to feel like I'm the contractor, bro, because I'm the puppeteer, man. Like multiple reasons. I could sit there and tell my computer guy to draw something, but again, I got to make sure that and again, I'll talk about the process.
Of course.
To kind of finish as we go along, right? So, obviously the first part is person coming, committing to what they want, right? You gotta, me as the person that's speaking, to my consumer, I have to know what size they want, conform to their budget, work on, something that's gonna be desirable for them, right?
Yeah.
That's difficult in its own thing,
Absolutely.
right? So that's that, right? So now this is why I have to play puppeteer, right? Secondhand, go into my computer model maker. I have like 6, 7 different guys. Certain guys are good at certain things. I know who does what good, right?
Sure.
Time frame, depends on time frame. You want your piece early, you want to not, right? So like, I got to think about that. Then we're gonna, do the computer render, make sure that the customer is good with that designing. Again, that it doesn't look off. I print that out, make sure I look at it in person, doesn't look off. I've had to do it where I've reprinted it, spent some more money, but I know that this is what the person needs to see. So again, none of these points in the process make sense unless you know what it is that you're trying to end up at.
Definitely.
After that, we obviously know either prior or after whether we want to do it in what purity, gold, platinum, silver, whatever, again, conforming to budget and, customers, desirability. And then after that, what's it called? Based on whatever we cast it in, that's the process it's called casting, which is turning into, from a silicone or a wax mold into a gold piece or platinum or whatever you have it. After that, we usually go into stone setting. If you do have stones in the item, pre-polish, polish, tumbling, making sure that the finish is going to look right, assembly, stamping, graving, appraisal if the piece is valuable enough. So again, it's a process.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's so yeah, wax, print the wax, cast it to whatever gold you want it, set the stones, pre-polish, tumble, finish, stamp, appraise.
Yeah. Okay. It's standard. Is there like a standard time frame, or it depends? It all.
Yeah, everything varies. Listen, I like my back against the wall, so it depends. If you come and you tell me, hey, this is what I need it to look like. Of course, unfortunately, sometimes we do have certain constraints that whether it's getting you to approve it on time, or the casting comes out messed up, or there's a lack of communication somewhere, right? Which again, it's my job to minimize that.
Yeah.
That's what we try to avoid.
Sure.
I would probably say it really depends. Something simple I could take from a week to 3-4 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
still not
sometimes
bad.
I've turned the 4 weeks into 2 weeks,
Yeah.
a week and a half if I had to. And it was under the right circumstances.
Yeah, y'all are magicians, man. You got a store, right? If I'm not mistaken, where you located at?
Yeah,
man?
we got a storefront. Elegant Empire Jewelers. First of all, again, just so we kind of go back to that, my name is Kiro from EE Jewelers again. In case you don't know, we're in Portchester. 20 North Main Street is the shop address. We're right by, Costco and the Metro North over there. So, yeah, man, we have a full line service jewelry store. We do repairs in-house while you wait. Yeah. It's another beauty of it. A lot of people don't do that. Standard service stuff. The guys just want to sell things. So, we sell things. I set stones in-house. I do, whatever we need to do. We do things that a lot of people don't do.
And what did you say the name of the establishment was?
Elegant Empire Jewelers. Instagram is EE Jewelers, okay?
Okay, Elegant and
Elegant Empire.
Elegant Empire. What made you come up with that Elegant? Where'd that name come from?
So, all right, back to the jewelry exchange that we were at in Portchester.
For sure.
It used to be called the Empire State Flea Market.
Okay.
So over time, as that place closed down, and I knew there was a lot of jewelers in the town, I was like, okay, well, Google was starting to come up and stuff like that, like 10 years ago, and I'm like, okay, let me leave the word, Empire in my name. So if people Google it, because there's a lot of people that used to go there.
Yeah.
Right? So if people Google the word Empire, flea market, Portchester, whatever it is,
it's popping up.
right? Cool. Because this was also the beginning of algorithms and stuff like that, right? And, Yellow Pages and all that was still around. And so I was like, all right. I mean, that's... and on top of that, too, I think it was an ode to my parents because, me and my father, you know, as a young kid, we had different companies, you know, and, you know, we opened up a company together, you know what I mean? And it was like modern, elegant jewelry. We came up with a terrible name too, you know, and not that Elegant Empire Jewels is even much of a better name, but we just, you know, I rock with it, you know what I mean? Just because it just, you know, it fell into what it was supposed to be.
Right,
You know what I mean? I don't think I asked for any of that. And, you know, shout out even back to, you know, me and my buddy Mario Pablo designing my, you know, logo. You know, we came up with, you know, a way to kind of make it work where it's EE Jewelers. And that's what the abbreviation of EE Jewelers is. So Elegant Empire Jewelers is an abbreviation of EE Jewelers.
Absolutely.
And that's what, you know, we did. And that's the diamond with the logo. It's got 2 E's inside of it. That's basically, you know, the concept behind it.
We've been chopping it up for a little while. You seem like a busy guy, an ambitious guy, goal-driven. One of the big things that I feel like is universal amongst any culture, I don't feel like anything separates us from this issue, is mental health. So I like to get different people next to me, or different walks of life, or different backgrounds, different career paths, and see like what's their ticket towards mental health. Like what are some things that they do? Well, so you know, with you, what are some things you do to decompress and just break away from jewelry and everything?
So, I think it's important to, first of all, have, you know, some sort of balance in everything you do.
Right.
You know, and that's both work life and personal life. I think I've found a lot of different, you know, strengths in, you know, waking up early.
Okay.
You know, allowing myself to be not inaccessible, because, you know, I'm very accessible in terms of my business because I have to be, right?
Of course.
But, you know, not a lot of people are waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, thinking about jewelry, you know? So that's been an ability for me to do that. You know, I've been taking out my physical health role in order to establish my mental health role. You know, I like to think of my mind as a very, you know, complex, you know, movement system that allows me to see things a little bit differently than a lot of other people.
Sure.
So, you know, I have a lot of energy as a person. I've always been that way, you know, and I see it in my son.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
And you know, it's good because I'm able to transfer that energy into who I want to be, you know? So mentally, you know, I think only for the last maybe 3-4 years or 5 years was I really able to, you know, find out, you know, how to really like establish myself mentally.
Wow.
Who I want to be, because I think, you know, prior to that, you know, I don't want to go into anything that's
For sure.
drastic and deep and dark and twisted, but, you know, you've been there as far as both an individual that, you know, is constantly thinking about how to be better in life, or if you're in a good place, because I still think about that now. We all do.
Of course.
Right? And then also, you know, dealing with all the personalities in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my parents and everybody going through their own motions, and, you know, again, not everything is positive. We all know that. And then even down, you know, that path of being with your friends, and, you know, like I said, I grew up in Brooklyn. I've seen everything.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen people get murdered.
For sure.
I've seen,
Wow.
you know, I've lost friends to drugs, man. You know, I've gone through things, man. But I think that now, as, you know, an individual that is able to really know and identify who I am, and mentally now I'm in a very positive place. I decompress by waking up early. You know, I work out. I establish myself. You know, I do things that I enjoy. You know, I work on, you know, my principles and my egos, you know, and I enjoy my family. I enjoy, you know, my mother lives with me, you know.
Wow.
I do my best to give everybody around me a good thing. So I think that helped. That's how I'm mentally straight.
Yeah.
Because I make sure that everybody around me is mentally straight.
Well, what about, when you need that, that
I do that on my own accord.
Okay.
I'm not a
a dependent,
because I have so much energy.
Yeah.
I feel like people need my energy. I don't really need anybody's energy. Not to take that away from anybody, because of course I love people, and I love people being around me. But I feel like I have this little knack where, or maybe because I'm a father, and that's where I've thought to myself, like, again, what did I tell you 4 or 5 years ago? My daughter's 5.5, so that's what my mind computes to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Definitely. Where I had this flick of, it's not really for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. At this point, it's cruise control for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I seen online, man, you cool. I see my boy Brantley in the back. He let me know something about these Spartan races you've been taking place.
Shout out to my brother Brantley, man. We've been doing a lot of...
How'd you meet this guy right here, man?
Who, this guy? Shout out to my brother Corey, man.
Yeah.
He introduced, Corey Copeland introduced me and Brantley a couple years ago.
For sure.
And then shout out to Brantley's girlfriend Jane. She pulled up
GB
at his for his 30th birthday. She got him.
What she got him, man?
She got him a nice Rolex.
Yeah,
man.
She love him, man.
Nah, man, it's beautiful, man. When you see people care about each other, man, and do their best for each other. That's an amazing thing. So that's how that connection happened. And she was like, "Oh, you gotta come," and me and my wife pulled up, and we had a great time. Everybody was very receptive to us. They were all very positive, and Brantley was definitely very receiving, and got my boy right off a couple bottles of 42. He was running around. For
sure, he did him right. Yeah,
he was running around.
30-30.
Yeah, nah, man. But we were just very mutual and cordial. I think he approached me at the bar, and he was like, "Hey, what's up with these bar races? I know you've been doing them." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been doing them." I mean, at that point, I had just done like one, and I was just, again, finding myself. I was just started doing like fitness because I just didn't want to. I felt like I was, again, overweight, and I was getting to like the point of being, the oversized dad that I was like, nah, that's not going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So after I took that turn, it wasn't only that I did that first one. I was like, okay, cool. At least I have a goal. I have to have a goal. So that was it. It wasn't even like that I even cared. But you see these things and you're like, yo, I have to have a goal. Shout out to my buddy Nico, Ink by Nico. He's a tattoo artist. I saw this on his Instagram. And I'm like, oh, he did this? I want to do a Spartan race. I've always seen this. I mean, it's either now or never, right? So I did that. And then Brantley saw, I guess, my social media. He was like, yo, what's up with these things? I'm like, yeah, bro, they're good. He was like, you don't think I'm going to do it, right? I'm like, I don't know, bro, maybe. He's like, nah, bro, you don't think I'm going to do it, bro. I'm like, nah, bro, maybe you're not going to do it. What's up? Like, you know what I mean? Kind of, I wasn't sure, but, he took that as a challenge, too.
Yeah.
And then it was like, it was a commitment. And then, it's funny. He's like, I got a group chat. I try to push everybody to do it. Yeah. And then, like, I had, like, 7 guys we got through in a chat. And then literally everybody backed out except for me, Brantley, and shout out to my brother-in-law and JPP. Yeah. We all did it together. And we just, it was just, again, a common goal, right? If you will, it was, 3 men on a mission at that point, right?
Yeah.
So we messed around. We did the first one in April. We did a 21K, which was grueling on our bodies. It was good. Brantley...
Where did it take place?
Where did we do it? We did it in what's called Mountain Creek. It was the it was a 5,500 foot elevation.
Damn.
Plus minus, it wasn't really 21K. That should translate to 12.5 miles. I think we did like 16 miles that day.
Shit.
We had the Apple Watch, so that's a fact. And then, what's it called? It was a difficult thing, man. But I think, again, going back to the mental health, right? I was going down, the hill, 4 hours in, thinking like, bro, what am I doing? Like, I'm actually paying to put myself through this, right? And then my perception flips. And then you're just like, yo, I'm going to do something that people don't do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do something that my kids are going to look at and be like, he did that, right? So we did that. Shout out to Brantley. He definitely did. I don't know. My boy keeps breaking probably records in his own.
That's all his kid does.
He's a cyborg,
That's ridiculous, bro.
But yeah, when you take care of yourself, that's what you can do.
For sure.
And then we did another couple of races after that.
Yeah.
And our goal was to do a trifecta in 1 year, which is where you do these 3 races. And we did them basically in 1 month, in 30 days of each other.
Jesus
and then we signed up. We're going to Greece in a couple of months.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to do a little trifecta weekend, which is like a 37K, 70 obstacle weekend. You know, it's called the Trifecta World Championship. You could only go there if you do the 3 races we did prior in that year. So, yeah, we're going to go to Greece. We're going to have a grand old time. We're going
Greece is beautiful, I heard, too, man. You ever been to Greece?
Yeah, I was just there, man. I just got back a
shit.
couple weeks ago, man. We had a great time.
Yeah.
I took my family, went to a couple places. What's it called? I have roots, you know, in Greece through, you know, my heritage.
Yeah.
My wife is Greek as well.
Nice.
So, you know, we are able to definitely, you know, go back there. And really, I go to Egypt. I've taken my kids to Egypt before, too. So, you know.
It's amazing.
Greece is a beautiful country. And I, honestly, man, I think traveling, I think also, again, perception. When you go there and anywhere, so be it. You know, you sit there, you just see, you know, not what we have, because then you could just say that. I think all of it really just energizes me to become a better version of myself.
Of course.
You know, I see, you know, again, these cultures, right? And I see, you know, the beauty in, again, selling jewelry. I pass little shops and this and that, you know. I'm like, oh, my God, well, that's garbage or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not mine. You know what I mean? My mother, you know, walks by a jewelry store in Greece. She likes something. I'm like, come on, let's go inside. I let the lady make some money.
Yeah.
No problem. I know she knows I know, and I tell her that. And, you know, and then, you know, again, memories, experience, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we wrap it up, man, let the people know where to follow you, how to contact you if they want a piece made.
Yeah.
And just final words, man. What do you want to tell the world, the community, about anything? The floor is yours.
I think where I want to leave off at is as long as, you know, you are transparent in what it is that you do and what it is that you want to do, I think that the universe allows you to find the right placement. So, you know, whatever your, you know, goal is in life, whatever, you know, your dream is, you know, just definitely always both have consistency, you know, wake up, because things don't get done on their own. You know, we could sit there and say we want to do this all we want, but if we don't put our best foot forward, then there's really nothing for us to do. You know, so, you know, if you find, you know, that I'm at all successful, listen to that motto, because I think that's my consistent motto. You know, every day it's like, hey, let me do my best to give myself a better tomorrow, you know? So, you know, that's both on your health, you know, mental and physical health. I think that all intertwines with you and how you want to present yourself.
Yeah.
That's firstly. Secondly, you know, things don't run themselves. You know, you got to definitely, again, be present in what it is that you want to do. There's no such thing as you coming out and, you know, find that little niche business that's going to get you paid. And if you think I found it, I didn't. That's not what it is, you know? And shout out to every jeweler who works hard to make sure that their dream comes true regardless. You know, we're not here, you know, denouncing anything, you know what I'm saying, from anybody. We just, you know, we know that I'm going to be better every day because I do better every day.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, my name is Kiro. Instagram is EE Jewelers, EEJEWELERS, just in case we need that. Yeah, man. We're in Portchester, 20 North Main Street, 914 area code 937-2045. My G's. All right? Whatever you need, okay? We're here for you guys. We'll make sure we give you the right prices, right item, right product, and definitely the right love. Appreciate you. County, thank you for having me, man.
You did a little commercial just now, man.
You know how I do, bro. It's easy peasy for me.
Yo, man, look, man, Nothing's Normal podcast, E-Jewelers. This won't be the last time you see me with this fella.
Yeah.
I love stuff like this, man.
Right.
This everything about this is Nothing's Normal.
Yeah. And shout out to Nothing's Normal, man, for having me, man. We really appreciate you guys, man. We see what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
And you know, being a part of this community, I think,
For sure.
is very symbolic into who we become in the future, man. So
You damn right, because my community is all about energy. It's not a
Yeah,
color
man.
thing. It's not it's all about energy. If we got mutual, and even if we don't have the same energy, it's cool if you do your thing over there. It's no malice. It's all about coexisting.
Yeah, we're that's
all
what
good.
we're here. Yeah, exactly, man. We got to be positive, you know?
Nothing's Normal podcast. Eat
Appreciate y'all,
Julius.
man.
Let's get it.